What's on the playlist, baby? What's on the playlist, baby? What's on the playlist, baby? What's on the playlist?
Yo, yo, yo.
That's
how we're starting off.
Okay, I like it.
Right?
Right.
I like it.
Welcome back. Season 3, episode number 68 of What's on the Playlist. My name is Chris Romero.
My name is Tony Pacheco.
And what's up, y'all? It's Victoria.
And we are 3 DJs out of Albuquerque, New Mexico with Cutmaster Music. And on this pod, we like to discuss our weekly events and dive into our weekly wedding industry playlist topic.
Yep.
And today, we're going to get into some wedding industry controversy.
Ooh.
Yes, we are.
That's right. But first, I'd like to just, say to both of you, Happy 311 Day.
Oh, yeah.
Happy 311 Day to you.
Happy 311 Day, peeps. That's
A lot of
right.
days happen.
It's a national holiday.
March. Yesterday was Mario Day.
Oh, okay.
It's
I like
3:10, so it's
Yeah.
Mario, but it's fine.
I
But
like
yeah,
that.
311's I
Yeah.
feel like a better day.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh.
There we go.
Yes, I'm prepared for
Chris
all the
Chris
all the
came
holidays.
Ready.
Right?
That's
He
right.
came ready
Chris
with the
came
sound
ready.
bites.
Although I can't throw a 311 track on because
Yeah.
we'll get hit with copyright.
Right.
But 311 Day. Usually, I'd prefer to be spending it in at a
Yep.
concert. But this
Yeah,
year,
don't they do something in Vegas?
so they do.
Oh, it's-
every other year is the 311 Day. This year's the cruise.
Yep, that's
Which
Oh.
they're not doing on 311 Day.
What?
Ironically, it's like next week.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
that's funny.
But anyways, they released it's the 30th anniversary of the Blue album, which is probably way too
Nice.
old for you guys. I'm not sure if you know any of the tracks on there, but that
Is
came.
Amber on it?
No, that
Okay.
was
No.
that was later.
Then no.
Yeah, right. It's the-
Down is the
Okay.
big
Oh,
song.
okay. That's a good song. I know that song.
Yeah.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice.
So that was the big one off there. But yeah, so they re-released. They did some like album and merch release today for that, and it looks like they're announcing the tour on the 18th, which I'm a little excited about. So-
Nice. That's fun.
Nice.
I love
Yeah.
that.
So those of you that have been listening to the pod long enough know I'm a
Big
Avid-
ol'.
avid
311.
311 fan.
Yep.
That's my.
311 Stan,
Yep.
if you will.
That's right.
Yep.
For the younger kids.
Yeah, exactly. Stan.
I don't know what the younger kids are saying these days. I don't
Saying
get it.
Stan instead of fans.
All right, so let's hop into it. Again, I had a free weekend. Didn't actually. I went to Lubbock with my son, with Jonas. He had a bowling
Nice.
tournament out there, so we went to
Nice.
Lubbock and had a good time.
How'd that go for him?
Yeah, it was good. He had a pretty good weekend. It was.
Nice.
I'm trying to remember. He won a little bit of money because they do these drawings and these different things, kind of contests
Yeah.
throughout. And so I bought like $10 worth of raffle tickets. They drew
Oh.
our number, and this was crazy because he had an opportunity to win $5,000.
What?
I saw that.
It was nuts, and and it didn't work out. He won 20 and a sticker instead.
Rats.
But I was like, "Come on, college,
Yeah.
college fun." But
Yeah.
no, but I still got to work. So
Oh,
Yep.
yeah,
still gotta work. That's funny.
but no, but overall it was a good weekend for him, and we had fun. It was fun going out
Nice.
there with him. We had a good time, and that's
Nice.
always when you can spend some time with your son like that. You can't get that time back.
Yep.
You
Yeah.
know,
Good
so
quality
Definitely.
time.
yeah,
That's what this time of the year's about, you know?
yep.
Yeah.
So what about you guys? Do you have anything going on?
I went to a festival. That was really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, really, really cool. It was in Phoenix. It was called M3F.
Oh.
I like it because it's like a lower end, mid tier festival, if you will. And what I like about it is they still bring in big names to still draw a crowd, but there's a
Definitely.
lot of people who are up and coming that you probably haven't heard of that you can go and discover music.
I love
so
that.
so when we sign up, this is our third time going to this festival, and what I love about it is they make playlists on Spotify, Apple for the festival
Oh,
with all
cool.
of the artists
Yeah,
in
yeah,
there. And so we'll just throw that playlist on shuffle and then listen to, oh, this one's cool. Oh, I like this song. And
Yeah.
then make our, like, who we want to see based on the songs we like. And it's fun because when you just like good music, you can appreciate, like, a good house set, a good indie set. And just be like,
Definitely.
oh, this song is awesome. You're typing in lyrics and you're trying to find new bands. And I like it because you're discovering music, but it's also, like, a festival. It has four
sure.
stages. It's got drinks. They've got installations. They had an arcade. They had a bunch of fun little things. But it was cool. It was really cold Friday in Phoenix, which
Wow.
was rare.
Yeah.
We had festival fits and had to throw it all out the window and get like
Get-
pants at Goodwill, real cheap, just something to cover up.
Yeah.
But it worked out. It was really fun, and I liked it because we got to see the production. And as a nerd from that perspective, you see all these different
sure.
lighting setups and all these different ways that artists are presenting themselves nowadays. Like Confidence Man, he's a DJ, but his whole act is to the singers dancing and singing. Like they were the whole performance, and it was really entertaining. But I was not expecting like that from a DJ.
That's
I guess you
okay.
do because Major
Yeah.
Lazer.
Yeah.
They bring out those 4 dancers, and they're awesome too. But
Like
Yeah.
I think a lot of the electronic music scene and festival scene is getting more creative
Yeah.
in that regard.
you guys see the Res Dome or the Res Portal?
Yep. Yep.
They made basically an LED
Mhm.
circle instead of a rectangle.
Right.
But
Yeah.
because of that, you're able to do all these different things, and people are like, "Oh, it's amazing," and it is pretty cool.
It is.
But I thought, how funny they just made a circle instead of a rectangle.
Yeah.
And people are losing their minds.
Yeah.
Right.
It's
No,
cool,
but
what
it's
they do
cool.
with it.
It's neat to see where they take the production, right, and then how just
For sure.
different DJs get creative. Like I was watching, what was the DJ that did New Year's Eve in the Sphere?
Oh, yes.
Animus.
Animus.
Yeah.
I think no. Is that who it was?
That's the. I think that's.
Yeah,
yeah.
maybe so.
Uh-huh.
But I saw an Instagram
Anima. My bad.
Yeah, I saw an Instagram post that came and it was showing his custom. Basically, think of the DJ decks that he had made.
Yeah, the
and
table.
It
or
was
like-
amazing.
Yeah, it looks cool.
It was
Like,
great,
but it was
yeah.
cool what it did, and he was triggering Ableton and like stems and all these different layers, right?
Mhm.
And so it's just to me like that's one of those things that a lot of people, I think in the crowd, you don't see a lot of it. Maybe he might have had some video of that, but I think the average person doesn't understand what's going on.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Like with
no, for
that.
sure.
We talked about it a little bit when I went to ACL, but have you ever heard of Tosh Sultana?
I have not, no.
She is awesome because she's just a musician, full through and through. She has like 6, 7 different instruments and has like a beat drum recorder and just hits loop and just like you watch her build the beat out
Right.
live
I
and so
love
like
it.
doom da doom da doom and then does that and then you like watch it and then she'll play the piano and it's like you watch the beat build, which was really really
So
cool.
cool.
And then this past weekend, what I liked was this band called LCD Sound System.
Oh, yeah.
This
they're
guy
awesome.
had like it reminded me of like those phone operators.
Oh yeah,
Oh, yes.
It was
Yep.
just like a
Like a-
full blown soundboard.
It was a synthesizer.
Yes,
Synthesizers,
and
yeah.
so they were creating these sounds, and it was wild to watch it happen. And then
Yeah.
like when the bass would kick in, or like the kick drum, and everyone, oh, you know what I mean? Because it's just like a, and then they do that dum dum boom boom or something behind it, and then
Yeah.
people go, oh, they feel the beat build, and
I
it was
love
cool.
that.
It's just cool to see. Yeah, you're right. Like different
That's
ways.
that's what I like is the creative ways,
Yep.
and then the intertwining of like live musician,
Mhm.
instrumentalists.
Yeah, they usually have full blown bands there.
Yes, and I love that EDM DJs are starting to incorporate that in their sets where they're like really doing it.
San
Lo-
Holo
Yeah.
gets up there
Yeah.
and plays his guitar.
Yeah, they're doing it live. Like Fred again's doing like
yeah.
crazy stuff. Like,
Yeah.
and I like it because sometimes when you watch like your favorite DJ set, they look bored up there because their USB is already loaded up with their
Right.
whole entire mix for
Yeah.
the night. So it's been really refreshing.
I've been on the
See.
James hype tip like for
Oh,
this
he's
past year.
fantastic.
I want to see that sync thing.
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
Yep, I
Uh,
have seen that.
He's like when he hits the Q button, lights go, and so he's trying to.
Oh
create a
yeah,
show.
yeah. Right.
Yeah, and so
Yeah.
Yep.
dope.
Yeah. I'm all about it. Right.
Yeah,
Well, it's about evolving and growing, and now
for sure.
it's kind of high. Like it was cool 10 years ago for that to just be that, and the visuals were kind of like
Yes.
That was the show,
forefront,
right?
right?
Yes.
I'm thinking like
For
Zed
sure.
2014. And yeah, people really got into like not only the visuals but like the stage production.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? They made like X's and all these different
Yep.
things, and now it's like incorporating live music, live artists.
Well-
You guys saw the Avicii documentary?
I was just
Yep,
gonna mention
yep.
that,
Go ahead.
and I think like he was the one that kind of like you could tell at that time. For those that haven't seen it, I'll tell you about one part where he was it "Wake Me Up" that
Yep.
he did
Yep.
with Mike Einzinger, who's actually the lead guitarist of Incubus, which it was awesome. I didn't know that he was the one that played
Yeah.
that, dung dung ga dung dung
Yeah.
dung dung that
Mhm.
part. And so he brought them out at Ultra on stage, and the crowd had no idea what was going on and actually started booing,
Yep.
and like they were not
Hated it.
feeling it, right?
Yep.
And then of course that becomes one of the biggest songs ever for him.
Yep.
Mhm.
And I just feel like now it's evolved to where it's more accepting
Yeah.
of that.
For
But he
sure.
was willing to push boundaries and
He's
try
pioneering that whole wave. you know?
Exactly.
that
Yeah.
the whole live with electronic thing. And just it's really amazing to see
Yeah.
where it's
Yeah.
come in these last 10 years.
You know who I saw do it, and that they actually got me into dance music was Keys and Crates. Do you guys know
Oh,
who that
okay.
is?
No.
Keys and Crates is awesome. They're a trio. One guy's on a drum, one
Dope.
guy is on a DJ record vinyl, cutting it up, like creating
I
the
love
backbeats,
that.
and then another guy's on a piano singing.
Okay.
And that was the first time I had seen like something being created. What I liked about them
Yeah.
is if you knew their music, you go see them live, you would never hear the song how it was released.
It was.
It was
yeah.
them. Are we beta, 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 da 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 da? And you knew what song they were playing, but it was their riff of it live.
Exactly.
And that was awesome.
I love
so
it.
Keys and Crates. I haven't seen them forever. I wonder if they're still out there, but I love that. I'm gonna
Cool.
listen to some Keys and Crates.
Yeah,
Nice.
for sure.
Good festival action.
Yeah. What about you, Victoria? Where were you at?
So I was at Canvas on Friday and then Revel on Saturday.
Nice.
And then yesterday I did something really, really cool for an upcoming event. We did a whole content shoot.
Nice.
So that was really, really fun.
That's fun.
And then I was DJing at Revel, but then my content creation company, my media company,
Yeah.
we actually did the content for that event that me and DJ Joe
Nice.
did as well. So
Nice.
just really, really fun weekend. A very creative weekend. The DJ sets were great. The people were really, really great. And I think people are ready to get out. The weather's getting nice. So the vibes are definitely up.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's kind of what I did this week and weekend. So yeah, it was super fun.
Nice.
Anything coming up this next weekend for you? Where can people go check you out?
Yeah, I'll be at Little Toad Creek in Silver City on Saturday.
Silver
Nice.
City.
Yep.
Silver
For-
City people.
Silver
all my
City,
stuff.
come on out.
Yeah, it's been
You
Short
say it's
drive.
always a vibe there.
always a vibe. It is so much fun out there. Like all of you people that listen, if you're down south for any reason, I know it's kind of Silver City's in a mountain, so you gotta like
Or if
go
you're
to
in
Silver
Silver,
City.
Yeah,
now
exactly.
now you know what you're doing.
Yeah,
This
sh-
week.
Exactly.
Short drive. Get your
E-
friends from Albuquerque and
Yeah, short,
take the few hour
super
drive.
short 4-hour drive. Yeah, so if you're ever in Silver City, even if I'm not there, definitely just check out the town. It's super fun. And Little Toad Creek is super cool. They have great food. They brew all their own beer, all their own alcohol,
Nice.
everything that you drink in there is made directly from them in Silver City.
Love that.
Dang.
Yeah, so super cool spot, great people over there. So I'm excited for that one. That's usually a great event for me, and
Mhm.
I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome.
Heck yeah.
All right, well, let's dive into our playlist topic today,
Woo, woo.
and we're going to get a little controversial, and something that we've been discussing and talking about, and I've seen come across a few other boards and groups as well, as the question, is the wedding industry a scam? Ooh, I need a soundbite for that.
Scammers.
Yeah. Gasp.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so is the wedding industry a scam? So we hear it all the time. Weddings are a scam. Vendors just jack up prices because they know you'll pay. But is that actually true? And so today we are diving into the costs, the misconceptions, and basically the realities of the wedding industry.
Yep.
So really this is, I feel, geared more towards our couples that may be asking some of these questions. And then I think we would like for you vendors that are out there, and I shout outs, to those of you that have been participating in the comments. I know I've seen Taylor
Mhm.
Fail,
Yep.
has hit us up in the comments and been interacting with us a little bit. So we appreciate you. So yeah, we're gonna ask you the questions that maybe some of you have been asked,
Yep.
or what are you seeing, when it comes to the idea of the wedding industry being a scam. So first of all, let's talk about our experiences. I know there's been a few times, well, many times, that we are considered overpriced, right?
Yep.
Like,
Happened today.
Definitely.
yeah. So let's
I got an email
let's
today.
discuss that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got a wedding for next year, and I sent them. I said, "Hey, what's up? I'm available. Here's a look at our pricing." And they said, "Thank you so much for getting back to me so quickly. Unfortunately, this is way out of our budget. I do appreciate you taking the time to email me back."
Yeah, which
Yeah.
is
All right.
which is fine, and we say it all the time. We're definitely not the right clients for everybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that most planners would probably agree that one of the first things I think you should do as a couple when you get into wedding planning is to establish your budget.
Yes.
And I think that's huge, establishing your budget and then placing priorities into
Yes.
the things that are most important to you.
Really, I think those are conversations that you should have with your partner. What is important to you on your wedding day? What is a must-have? What is
Sure.
what's not as important? Because then that allows you to see where you value certain things and where you want to spend that money.
Yeah, where you could put the dollar.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny because if you dig deep enough into a lot of more the wedding groups and the bridal groups, right? That for people that are planning, you tend to see a lot in there of like, oh my gosh, their wedding vendors are price gouging us, or
Mhm.
a lot of times they'll refer to it as the wedding tax. That
Yep.
they're just charging more because it's a wedding as opposed to a birthday party, right?
Yep.
Mhm.
And so I want to dive into that a little bit today and talk about like the costs and the reality check here, right?
Yeah.
Like why do weddings cost so much? So before we even get into that, I decided to go and take a look, and I'm looking on Zola. And here are the average costs by expense. All right.
Okay.
So
Okay.
we'll establish that. And then obviously we are going to be coming from, we're coming from the perspective of a DJ event company.
Definitely.
And so, but I think these ranges, I think
This is in the country.
yeah, this is in the country.
Okay.
So the wedding venue typically is going to cost well, let me give you, first of all, the average cost of a wedding as a whole. In 2024 was around $33,000, which was slightly up from $29,000 in 2023.
Yep.
And the most expensive state to get married in was Rhode Island. Their average cost was
Rhode Island.
$49,207.
That is
Yeah, because
insane.
the Northeast is super popular, like Martha's
Yeah.
Vineyard and
Probably
places like
beautiful
that, right?
spaces.
Yep.
The cheapest, guess what the cheapest state was?
New Mexico.
No.
I'm gonna say. Hold on. Give me one more. Wyoming.
No, you're getting closer.
Victoria.
I know what it is.
Yeah, Victoria knows.
I'm gonna let you guess because I
Yeah.
know the answer.
Gotta go further north.
Oh, North Dakota.
Okay, norther.
Canada.
Yup, you're getting close.
Close.
I'm confused now.
It's a state connected to Canada.
Michigan.
No, Alaska.
Alaska. More north.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Alaska was the cheapest at $14,000.
Okay.
Yeah, you can get married
Yeah.
for $14,000 there with a
What
bunch
does it
of.
cost to get there?
Right?
You have a bear as an officiant, and but that's
Still gotta
cheaper.
get on a plane and
Yeah.
a boat to get to the venue.
Right.
But yeah.
So those are the average costs overall. And now I'm just going to go through some of these it's kind of by vendor, or I guess by vertical, you could call it. So the wedding venue, your average cost is going to be $6,500 to $12,000. Your catering is going to be between $6,500 and $10,000. Band or DJ between $2,000 and $7,000.
Oh.
Wedding planner is going to cost you between $1,500 and
Wow.
$4,750. Photographer between $3,500 and $6,500. Pretty much the same for videographer, $3,000 to $6,000.
Yeah.
Flowers, $2,500 to $6,000. Then you got transportation up to about $1,200. Cake between $600 and $900.
Crazy.
Your ceremony music, which is separate from your band or DJ, between $500 and $800. And then hair and makeup, $550 to $850. So those are the average costs for each of those. And so why do weddings cost so much? Okay, so we're
Yeah.
bringing the event DJ perspective here.
For sure.
For us, there's a lot of that goes into play, right?
Yeah.
First of all, the labor intensive work. My wedding last weekend,
Mm-hmm.
we got to Hotel Albuquerque at 12 o'clock. At 1 o'clock
Mm-hmm.
to be prepared for a wedding ceremony that started at 5:30.
Yep.
Okay, so I
Yep.
started at 1 o'clock. ceremony started at 5:30, and then it went all the way to midnight.
Yep.
The actual party did go till midnight. We had a little bit larger setup, which is why we got there at 1 o'clock. By the time we got finished tearing down, breaking down, and getting the trailer back to the warehouse and then back home, it was about 3 o'clock.
Yep.
By the time I was in bed. Right?
14-hour, 15-hour day.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's a
Long
super long
days.
day.
Long days.
And I think there's something to be said for that in and of itself. All right.
Yeah.
You have to understand anybody that's in the wedding industry that's doing a service for you like this. We are sacrificing a Saturday.
Yes.
That's a complete day, a weekend day to be. That's away from. I've got a family, right?
Everybody else has the weekend off. We commonly work on the weekends, and it's a very big hurdle
Yep.
that I feel like we have to jump through or work around. And I don't think a lot of people understanding the sacrifice when it comes to us giving up those Saturdays
Yep.
because, our partners, our friends, our family, they only are off on Saturdays. And
Yep.
it's
That's
challenging.
that's when my kids have their sporting events,
Yep.
right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And so it's a sacrifice.
Or it's
really
right
to-
in the
to
middle
do
of a
this.
weekend. You can't make a trip. You have to
Yep.
you have to dedicate the whole weekend to that one couple.
Exactly.
If you have one wedding, but you can't you're limited even if you are just doing
And
that
even
Saturday.
leading up to it.
Yep.
Like the week
So much
before,
work.
months before, so much work goes into that one day
Yeah.
where you're sacrificing, time with family, time with friends, time with your partner. So yeah, that's
And
lot
that's
that
and
goes into
so
it.
and so that's a value to us on
Yeah.
the vendor side,
Exactly.
right? Like
Yep.
that like how much does it cost for me to want to be in this industry to give up that Saturday? And
Yeah.
honestly, I'm going to tell you, especially as you guys get older, you're probably not feeling this as much because I know I didn't when I was in my 20s and 30s. But as you get older, I think in a lot of some of you out there that are into your 40s, maybe 50s and older, you not only are giving up your Saturday, but you're giving up your Sunday. Because for me,
Recovery time.
the recovery,
Yeah.
I'm trash. I'm trash on Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to get up. I got to bed at 3 o'clock, and I got up in the morning. My kids had their bowling league at 10 o'clock, and
Right, you're all groggy
I-
trying to
and-
get
Yeah.
through it versus being alert, aware, and trying
and,
to
and,
Yeah.
and being there and being present
Yeah.
for them and stuff, and
Exactly.
you're just fighting it all day long, right?
Yep.
And so there really is like wedding hangover, so to speak,
sure.
for vendors
Yeah.
on that. So that is a value in and of itself.
Yeah.
Now get into the rest of it, the gear, how
Mhm.
the investment in the gear that we
Yep.
have,
the dang gear.
and so I know our photographers out there will talk about
Yeah.
this too, and videographers, right?
Yeah.
Like the gear. They are tools, and yeah, could you use your phone and take pictures? You could,
Yeah.
but that's not what a
What
professional does.
quality are you putting
Yeah.
out?
Right.
Could you set up a Bluetooth speaker and just set up a Spotify
Yep.
playlist? You could,
Yeah.
right?
But
who's
what quality are you putting out?
Exactly, right,
Yeah.
So that gets us to kind of almost like into do-it-yourself territory, right?
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
a lot of people, we understand you're looking to save money and what corners can I cut,
Mhm.
to
sure.
to bring the cost down. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit because there probably are some ways that you can cut costs.
Definitely.
But I feel like everything around your wedding and the costs around a wedding is going to start with your initial budget.
Yep.
And then you got to tame your expectations from there, right?
I completely agree. I was gonna kind of say that, social media and certain things kind of push luxury trends and just kind of require you to feel like you need to go all out because it's a once in a lifetime moment.
Yeah, it's almost like a FOMO kind of thing.
Exactly. So you're like, well, if we're going to do it once, we're going to do it big and we're going to fly in this person and we're going to do
True.
this and that and, all these other things. So I feel like that too, like
That adds an element of
it adds
people buy with emotion in 3 points in their
for
life.
sure.
And it's like when you have a birth, during a death, and during a marriage, people really will put emotion forward first. And that's
Mhm.
okay, but that's where you have to keep that in mind and understand where you value those certain things. But I like where your head's
and
at.
be realistic with your budget.
Yeah.
Like we would all love to have whoever at our wedding
Sure.
singing, Mariah Carey singing our first song.
Yeah.
But is that in our budget? Probably not, you
Yeah.
know? And just having those realistic expectations, I feel like can really help you.
Yeah, and I think it comes back to also prioritizing what you value, because then you can really double down on what you really are, what is important to you on the wedding day. So then, as long as
Yeah.
you're giving into that, whatever that is, whether it's time spent with family, music and entertainment,
Yes.
the overall decor, like you, as long as you're happy on your wedding day, then it doesn't matter. But yeah, it's important to prioritize it because I was just when I was with my in Phoenix with my fiance, we were talking about like what's important to us.
Yeah.
What is like what is an absolute must have on your wedding day? And I was like, okay, let me think about that. And when you really sit down and think about it, it allows you to prioritize and figure out, okay, well, we don't need.
Well,
to
and then you got to
money
go a
there.
step further. So then when I feel like when you get those priorities
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
now do you want a professional? Because in our
Yeah.
industry, there are a lot of people out there that do things
Yep.
in the wedding industry, and there are amateurs and there are professionals, and it's real.
I
And
agree.
it's usually reflected in their pricing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I can tell you that from a DJ aspect, there are 1,000 DJs in Albuquerque.
Yeah.
There are. And there's a lot of guys that
Yeah.
you'll find in the nightlife scene. There's a lot of people that you'll see that just do this on the side. Everybody knows an uncle
Sure.
that's a DJ, right?
Yeah.
Has gear.
Definitely.
Has a
Whatever,
couple of
yeah.
speakers, and he's been DJing for forever. Or I've got a friend, right? Everybody's got a friend that's a DJ.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then there are professionals and people that do this at a very high level.
For sure.
I feel like we are intentional about furthering our education,
Yep.
making better mixes, and really, we don't just have the gear on the side. This is what we do. So we want to make sure we do it to the best of our ability. And
For
that's-
sure.
And
that comes
we've
through.
made the choice, and this is, I feel, in some ways it's a luxury, but it's also a path that we've chosen to take, right? Like we've been very conscious, us three,
Yeah.
of saying like, this is what I want to do
Mhm.
to, number one, make a living, but it's because I love it. And for me, I want to do something that's very high quality. I love that every weekend for us is the Super Bowl. I
Yeah.
love that,
Yeah.
and I don't take it for granted,
Mhm.
and it really is. So for it to feel like Super Bowl level quality, you've got to have high end gear. You've
Yep.
got to put in the time. We put in. It's an expense for us to go to Wedding MBA every year, right?
Exactly.
We do a summer symposium with our DJ think tank group. This year it's going to be in Boston. This is going to be the most expensive summer for symposium that I've ever been a part of, and it's absolutely well worth it.
Yeah.
Last year, I spent. I'm throwing this number out there. It was up almost around 5 figures for coaching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For business coaching.
mentorship,
yeah.
yeah.
Coaching.
You know?
Mhm.
But it
So-
helped us out a lot in the overall business and tracking and like learning our numbers and
For
it's
sure.
it's helped us immensely. And then in that we can better our time with our product, our services, and I just think it's just so helpful for us.
Yeah, and I
you
think
know?
it's what Chris is saying about just evolving and learning, and that goes for any industry.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
yes, there might be, somebody who's cheaper, but are they willing to put out high quality content?
Mhm.
Are they willing to put high quality photos? Are they willing to spend thousands and thousands of dollars on a camera lens?
Yeah.
These things that, separate the boys from the men, if
Yeah.
that makes sense.
That's
you
what
know?
it is.
Great.
And
Yeah.
that's what it takes to be a professional,
It
right? To
does,
do all
yeah.
these things and then to have the experience over time. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yes, you can find a $500 DJ. They're out there. But if you are spending up around, let's just say this average in the $30,000 range, my guess is that you want things to run smoothly, you want to be
Yep.
stress free, and you want things done correctly. And there is something to be said for those planners, photographers, DJs, bands, those that are doing this at a really high quality level. The planners especially they're worth their weight in gold. Just
Yep.
you are going to be stress free, which
Yep.
that is the most stressful day in your life. It
Yep.
really is. And they are going to handle things that you didn't even see
Yep.
or
Yep.
knew happened.
Anticipate or
Yeah.
they're going to handle those problems, and that's the reason you hired them is because they handle all that stuff
Exactly.
without you having to worry about it.
Yep.
Yeah. And in many cases, and this is why I really advocate for having a planner, is they're going to save you money. Why? Because they
Yeah.
have a network. They know people that, do things at a high quality level. I mean, at the end of the day, and we can go through every vertical. How much does it mean to you? All right. What's the value of a DJ when that DJ, and this is real life, like we've heard these things,
Yep.
has not made any announcements, comes dressed in jeans and a t-shirt,
Yep.
didn't show up, or didn't show up on time, played the wrong song during your first dance.
Exactly.
Now, how valuable is that to you? And those seem like things that we anticipate. Oh, every DJ should be able to do that.
Yeah.
Right. Well,
It's crazy. The horror
Wrong.
stories we hear is just insane, and it always shocks me whenever I'll talk to
Yep.
planners. Like, we'll be at a wedding and just chilling during dinner or something. They'll tell us stories of other experiences that they had, and I'm like, what?
Yep.
Yeah.
How?
there's DJs that I've been told they're banned from venues.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like they're not allowed to be in those spaces because it was just such a bad.
And for good reason.
Yeah.
You know, not just for good reason. You're playing with something that, like I said earlier, may be once in a lifetime for people. And they're just going to remember you played the wrong song. You weren't on time. You showed up in your jeans and your t-shirt to somebody's wedding. And on top of that, like I'll say, if I'm pouring $30,000
Oh, yeah.
into a single freaking day, you better come correct because I'm not playing, right?
Yeah.
Like you need to know little things, cable management. You need to make sure that your stuff's taped down because I don't want to walk into a venue that I spent a crap load of money on.
For decor, and then all the cables are all.
Yeah, for beautiful decor, all this and that. And then the DJ setup is just god awful, right? So just, those things really do matter. They really do.
Right. Yeah. So so I think that's what you're going to find when you get into professional level quality, which is what I believe most people want.
Yes.
They've spent the time, the money, they've got the experience, right? That's really what you're paying for. You're paying for peace of mind. You're paying for things to be done correctly, smoothly, and in all honesty, it should be above and beyond.
Yeah.
And that's what we try to do, right? We're always trying to look for ways to add more value.
Under promise, over deliver. That's what I
Yeah.
always say.
And I love that because you know what? Like, we all start somewhere.
Right.
We all started somewhere. We all didn't know these things that we may know now. And that is totally okay. But you can do it in a way where you're exceeding expectation.
Right.
Maybe if you haven't done that many weddings, you can still go above and beyond for them. You could still be a professional, even if it's not with, the best equipment. Sometimes, I know people have, their different reasons and everyone starts somewhere, but you could still be a professional in other ways that'll really help you out to get to that next level.
Yeah.
It's true.
So that being said, those that are doing it really, really well then become in high demand.
Yep.
And this is just like anything.
Basic economics.
This is
Yep.
right.
Supply and demand.
Supply and demand. So there's only one Tony, there's only one Victoria.
Yep.
And
If we have 3 people asking us for the same date,
it's usually, and this is the what we call it the holy grail here at Cutmaster Music, because
it's taking
you
time.
want people for you, like they're not booking my Pioneer DJ Rev 7 and my
Yeah.
awesome QSC L series speakers. That's not what
Yep.
people want. They want Tony. They want what is Tony available? Is Victoria available? Right?
Exactly.
And so. Yes, he is currently, for the year 2035. He's available, right? But not for 2026 on that date because it's already taken. So over time, your value increases. This is any vendor, florists, photographers, videographers. The better you get, the more in demand you become, the higher the price goes. That's the way it is because there are people out there. There's a market for it, right?
For sure.
The market will always dictate your value. So there's haters out there that are like, those guys charge way too much. We have it here in our own market. I've seen it, that hate on what our pricing is at. Nobody should ever be paying that much for a DJ. Well, you know what? The reality of it is there are people that are willing to pay it and want to pay it for and pay the best. And we make a living doing this.
Exactly.
And that's something we're all proud of, right?
Yep.
Like we make a living, but we're not taking advantage of you, and I'm not scamming you. Like it,
I think I take it even more seriously because it's such a
For
high
sure.
price point. You are not messing around. You really value the DJ service that we can provide. So let me
Exactly.
make sure I can do everything that I can to not miss ever, and
Yep.
like
that's what it is.
That's how I feel now.
And for us,
I love it.
our clients place a very high priority on their entertainment.
Yep.
And so for photographers that are booking the higher price photographers in the area, they are placing a high value on that service.
Yep.
For the flower, sometimes we show up to venues like, a few weeks ago, no flowers, right?
Yep.
There's nothing there. And then I'll go to Los Poblanos, which is only like a 40, 50 person wedding.
Yeah.
Flowers galore, the most beautiful,
Yeah.
florography. And Emily has got these amazing pieces out there.
Yep.
And so they value that, right?
Definitely.
And there's different strokes for different folks. And that's all there is to it.
It's true.
So
I-
just
yeah.
because you can't get Victoria,
yeah.
because you don't have the budget,
No.
that's not Victoria's fault.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say. Like, I know all of us sitting here know our worth.
Yeah.
And we know that when you book us for anything, and I mean anything, I see it in you two all the time, weddings aside, we go and give 110% every single event we touch,
Yeah.
everything we do. So to me, like, that is what we're worth.
Mm-hmm.
Shoot, sometimes I think we're worth more, if in my opinion,
Yeah, I agree.
because I know we're willing to put in this work that no one else is willing to put in.
I just feel like the role we play is still so slept on.
Yes.
Like, we are such a pivotal role. A good DJ can make or break so many events. And
Yep.
and it's just that's my personal opinion.
No, and I totally agree with you.
Yeah, and I think that goes once again. This is any vertical, so and you're gonna find,
Mhm.
and I think that's really crucial too, and is also important. So it's figuring out your budget,
Yep.
and once again, these are tips like to help our couples out there, right? And then you want to put together the best team that you possibly can around that budget,
Mhm.
because I'll tell you this: it's great that you might have this photographer and you have a videographer, but I was at a wedding once where that photographer and videographer were clashing the whole time. They're
Yeah.
yelling at each other. They're almost fighting on the golf course out at Sandy Event
Stepping on
Center.
each other's
Ooh, it
toes
was
and all
crazy.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like you've got to make
Bummer.
sure that you've got a team that can also collaborate and work well together. That is of
Definitely.
value as well, right?
That
It
is
is.
that's such a huge thing to just embrace on wedding day.
For sure.
I feel like it has to be a team effort. It's not just one person doing everything. And,
Yep.
and when you want to make sure that your vendors can align, maybe asking them if they've worked with them in the past. Have you worked with this vendor?
Yeah.
Or if you haven't hired that vendor yet, who are some of your favorites that you like to work with? Because then that'll help you feel more confident in hiring the right ones.
Definitely. Yeah, and when all the stars align with vendors,
It's the best.
it's a home run.
Oh, yeah.
Every single time, it's a home run. So yeah, that's huge, and you don't want vendors fighting each other like he's saying.
And
Like,
vendors, I think we do a good job at keeping it professional, but you see it time and time again where it's just kind of this is my way, this is how we do it. I want to take
Definitely.
the lead. And I think it's just we're like just recognizing when and how to
exactly.
put in your
And in my opinion,
cents, I guess.
on wedding day, for any vendor out there, the ego has got to go.
Oh yeah.
Just for that day.
Mm-hmm.
You could have it tomorrow, next week, whenever.
Mm-hmm.
Drop it for the day, because there's going to be things that come up that may bruise your ego or may do, certain things to you mentally, but you just got to let it go. You know?
I think we should always be team bride and groom, or
Yep.
bride and bride, groom and groom, team couple, right? Team
Yep.
wedding couple.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it. At least when I've talked with other planners and coordinators, usually when there's issues, that tends to be the issue. You're right. It's like somebody's ego, somebody's
Yep.
pride. Well, and a lot of times it's the DJs, right? They have a planner,
Yep.
and it's the DJ that's like, no, this is the way I do it,
Yeah.
and this is what we're doing. And because we have a microphone in our hands,
Mhm.
sometimes we think we have
It's like a power.
a
thing.
power, right? It's a
Yep.
power thing.
Yep.
And nope, I'm gonna do toast right now, even though the sun's setting, and I'm not. You should have went and got your pictures earlier, right?
Yeah,
No, that's not team couple.
exactly.
Like, we should be collaborating together, and I'm as go with the flow as it can be wedding day. Like,
Same here, yeah.
I always tell our couples, look, we have a timeline. There's a timeline
Yeah.
here, even if you worked with your planner. We have this timeline, and yes, there are some things that we need to stick to. The kitchen's going to have the food ready at this time. It needs to come out hot, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but there's other things that we can move. We can
Adjust.
adapt and be
Yep.
flexible with.
Exactly.
Yeah, the sun's going down. I can't stop. I can't put pause on the sun.
Yep.
Go get those pictures.
Yep.
I'm gonna hold down the fort in here, keep the vibes going.
Exactly.
You know, and that's being like just a team player
Yeah.
and team couple, right?
I've always said it's more of a guideline than a timeline.
Yes.
know what I
I love
mean?
that. I love that.
But yeah, it's being able to pivot. I've done it once. I remember mid toast. Like we had 4 total toasters. 2 of them had gone. During the second toaster, photographer came up to me and he was like, "Dude, I have to take them right now." And I said, "Okay, go ahead and take them. We're gonna let these 2 toasters finish, or this one finish. I'll bring some music up. We'll let them know we'll be right back, and we'll just keep it moving." But like to
Yeah.
have that flexibility is key on a wedding day,
Yep.
and the awareness too. I feel like if you don't have the awareness that you can switch some things around, it's not helpful. So just to be aware that
Exactly.
you can.
Yeah, and
kind of move some
that
things around.
again
Be okay with
just
some.
really separates people from being professionals and not, because we sitting here can do things on the fly, like play some tunes and
Sure.
do some music, like, and some people genuinely can't. If it doesn't stick to the timeline that they
Mhm.
perfectly planned out with all the music, you're gonna put a
You throw a wrench in, and they're like,
exactly,
mean?
exactly. So even that right there is what it takes to be a professional, to be able to get things thrown at you and you're able to just keep rolling,
Yeah,
you know?
pivot.
Pivot. Yep.
Something else you said that I really liked is being able to basically foreshadow and predict.
Yes.
You know, as I think the professionals that we've worked with do a really good job of this. So
Yeah.
here's an example. Like I knew last week that we were going to be doing snow on the dance floor for the first dance,
Yeah.
and so when photographers came into the room to take pictures of the room beforehand, I had them come over to the DJ area, and I said, "Hey, let's get the lighting down for the first dance.
Yep.
We're going to be doing this snow machine. I want to make sure you guys are in the right positions that you need, and then let's get the lighting correct, right?" So I moved my moving head spots. He went out on the dance floor, stood
Yeah.
out there, and he's like, "Can you move that one a little bit more left?" Yep, and we
Mhm.
kept going. Good, perfect, right there, and we moved all the moving heads. I set them in the right spots to where I could just hit a button during first dance, and boom, it was the perfect lighting for them, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And so things like that, just like thinking outside of your bubble. And I think that's where the ones that get caught up have problems. Is like DJs so focused on the party, photographers only focused on my pictures. You know, the catering staff, I'm only focused on food. And so instead of thinking of
Mhm.
those that you're working with and
Yes.
around you, right? And I think that's how those that are able to do that, you know, there's plenty of vendors that come to mind, photographers, why we love working with them because they
To make it easy.
make it easy. They have
Yep.
the foresight
Exactly.
to let us know, hey, I'm going to take them at this time, right?
Mhm.
Or I'm going to do this or do that, and we give each other a heads up. We make sure we're all on the same page, and it's like
Yeah.
I can then plan and not be, or like the photographers, not be. I didn't know snow was going to happen. Dang it! I wish I'd have had this camera available and ready at this setting.
Sure,
you
right?
know,
Exactly.
They need a whole different lens style, shooting style, and you don't know
Yeah.
that as
Yeah.
a DJ. That's not our place. So
Exactly.
it's awesome that you check the lighting and check that because it's super important for them. And then we just
And even what happened to you when the dancing actually started to happen for their first dance, you kind of had an issue with your lighting and were able to pivot. And you know what I mean? So
Right.
that's what I'm saying. Like,
you knew your equipment.
professionalism is in all aspects.
Yeah.
You knew your equipment. You knew that wasn't supposed to happen,
Yeah.
and that you didn't want blue and reds and greens in their first dance photos.
right.
You were able to recognize that, and I love that because sometimes our equipment just does things
Tech is made to fail.
exactly.
Annoying.
Yeah. So like even the fact that you were able to do that and immediately say, you know what, we got to bring these lights down, even though you guys had planned on something, just speaks to your professionalism.
It was
Yeah.
funny. I was
Yeah.
talking to the photographer. So what Victoria is referring to is, my first dance. We did all of that I just said. We got all these lights perfect. Then I hit the button, and 2 of my moving heads, we had 4. 2 of them started doing just a slow color scroll. And I noticed it right away. And we never want colors on our couples during their first dance.
Mm-hmm.
You want nice white light. That's where the photos and the video, that's what makes them pop and come out, beautiful. You don't want red faces and green faces. And immediately these 2 moving heads started scrolling colors. And I was like, in my mind I was like, oh my God, you gotta be kidding me. right in my head.
Yeah.
Funny.
But yeah, and like you guys said, I know my gear and my equipment. I went immediately, my software's right there, and I just dimmed those two moving heads,
Yep.
and then we still had the white light from the other two, and it was fine.
Yep.
So I'm talking to the photographers during dinner, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry about that during the first dance," and they were like, "What?" And I was
Didn't
like,
even
"Well,
notice.
we actually." Two of my moving heads, they started, doing their own thing, and they were scrolling through colors, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't even notice."
Yeah.
It's like, well, you'll probably notice now when you go back and look
Right?
at the
Like,
footage.
Yeah.
But
But-
they're rattling off like 50 photos in
Right.
that
Exactly.
moment. So.
Yeah, in their
yeah,
moment.
that's good.
Yeah.
But that's it. But you're right. But that's what I wanted to make sure that they were able to
Yep.
get plenty of photos with white light,
Mhm.
and not
Aware
have-
of the moment, there's
Exactly.
you can't redo the first dance. Oh, sorry, we had bad lighting. Can we just run it back? No,
No.
you have to fix it in
Yep.
that moment and having that. And I remember years ago, one thing I asked a videographer, "What's your biggest complaint when like working with DJs?" And he was like, "DJs not knowing their gear." And so
Yeah.
the fact that we take the time to troubleshoot, to dive in, to really understand the software, I feel like that speaks to our overall value. There's guys who are like, "Oh, this is great. Let me turn it on, hit go mode. Cool." No, we're actually creating shows and diving in to
Exactly.
elevate the experience even higher.
Programming stuff
Yeah,
to make
that's
sure
hard.
it's on white lights for dancing.
yeah,
Making sure
yeah.
it's doing this for that or whatever. Like that's just a whole other
yeah. And
league of its own.
there's
you
a
know?
lot of skill sets involved.
Yeah.
And so that's really when we get
It
down
all
to the
kinda
heart of
adds
this.
up
Yeah,
to it,
all of
right?
this stuff adds up,
Yeah.
right? And it becomes more valuable because you're paying for somebody's expertise and
Mhm.
experience, and as that. So I really do believe in this industry. You get what you pay for.
I agree with that. Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about where couples can maybe save and some ways that they can, where expenses could be seen as a scam, and then where you might be able to place your money and save some money. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Okay.
I always see like cakes. Like
Oh yeah, have you heard the hack? You know that one?
No, I haven't. Tell me.
It's
Tell
a
me
good
about
one.
that.
I love this one. I tell it all the time, and I see a lot of couples really doing it. They'll cut one little one. You do fake on the two-tiered, and then just sheet Costco cake in the back. No one knows the difference
Oh,
between.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was just looking up some stuff when Chris was telling me what we were going to be talking about today.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, that never dawned on me. A wedding cake costs so much more than a birthday cake.
No.
And sometimes people are like, yeah, it's still, some people
Ooh.
order a 3-tier cake for their birthday and it's only $150, but they order a 3-tier cake for their wedding and it's $700.
Yeah,
So-
that's interesting because we've talked about that in the past where people will book us for a private event and then
Yep.
it ends up being a wedding. And
Yep.
I think we've talked about it, we do a good job at like asking the right questions to ultimately be like,
Yeah,
okay, this is a
Exactly.
wedding.
we've never been reverse scammed.
Yeah,
right?
Bamboozled.
Right?
Yeah, we've never been bamboozled. You can't get us.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
that's interesting. That I mean, birthday cake is if you phrase it a different way. But I
Yeah.
like you could do like 2 styrofoam fake ones.
I
and
love
a
it.
little one. But people are doing cheesecakes, apple pies.
I've been seeing a lot
Dessert
of getting
bars.
away from actual wedding cake
yeah,
and
Yep,
doing
same.
like whether it's the cupcakes. I've
Yeah.
seen a lot of those in the past year or two.
I saw like a dessert bar at one of mine.
Those dessert
Yeah.
bars.
I saw a creme brulee station. That's fun.
yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, but it was like the same thing. They wanted to cut the cake, but they just had a little cute one for the photos and them, exchanging the cake, but had like a whole like churro bar
Yeah.
or sweets, like just for people.
Paleta. I remember
Yeah.
last summer they had the guy on the paleta cart come through and he was like
Yeah,
handing
that's
them out
so
like
cool.
a party. It was fun.
Yeah,
But yeah, I think that interactive experience I think speaks more than just watching them
Sure.
cut a piece of cake and having like it's expected to just have some dessert after. It's like
yeah,
elevating the experience, kind of what we talked about last time with trends.
for sure.
I'm noticing now couples are not cutting the cake as a moment as much.
Yeah,
No.
I'm seeing them get away from that
Me
as
They're just
well.
too.
doing it during dinner, getting the photos, but not like stopping the whole day.
Exactly. See, and that could be, back to what you're saying about doing like maybe sheet cake
Yeah.
and saving money there if you're not going to make a huge moment about it. If it's not something that's high on the priority list, you could save a few dollars there.
Yeah.
Get, like you're saying, do some fake styrofoam ones for the shot and get a sheet cake from Costco and save a ton of money just
Yeah.
on that right there.
Right. I would say like overpriced, like favors and unnecessary decor is
Yeah.
a way that you could save, right? So
I saw a good one, whereas like prioritize certain tables to have good linen. So like
Mm.
the table that they're gonna look at for the guest book or for their guest cards or whatever, get a nice pretty one for that one, and you're only buying like one or two, and then the linens for the rest of the tables are all just like white
Cool.
or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
that's those
Yeah,
little
y-
things, right? You can.
But decor on the other hand too though is somewhere where I think that has to be you have to decide if the atmosphere and what a space looks like is a priority to you because it makes a difference.
Yep.
A case in point is we had a wedding recently that had no decor inside of the ballroom at Hotel Albuquerque. I played that same room a few weeks before that, and that was the wedding.
What do you mean by no decor?
Okay, so
Bare minimum.
the wedding that had decor literally had a dance floor that was checkerboard.
Okay.
Okay, checkerboard
Mhm.
dance floor had twinkle lights hanging over the dance floor with mirror balls.
We
And
bottom to ceiling decor, right?
Had top to bottom decor.
yeah.
We had uplighting all the way around the room and our lighting towers and kind of blended in with it. They had a
Mm-hmm.
pipe and drape back behind the head table. It looked beautiful. It was awesome.
Mhm.
The same exact ballroom a few weeks later, only uplights around the room.
Mm-hmm.
And so the walls just look bare.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like there's anything kind of going on. And not to say they had a great time. They just didn't place the priority on that, right?
Yeah, right. That
So
wasn't
if you looked at the two rooms, though, I think if you showed somebody which room would you rather be in,
Yeah.
the decor made an impression,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
definitely.
So
It always does.
Mm-hmm.
So-
that's something to keep in mind.
right,
For sure.
even if it's just minimal, and that's where you could ask like there are things that we can do as a DJ. So uplighting helped. If there was no lighting in that room, no uplighting, that would have
Yeah.
probably been even
Yuck.
Yeah.
not been as good.
Yeah,
Plain,
for
it's
sure.
just a plain room. Yeah.
Yeah, but
If you had to pick one thing, I would say invest in uplighting. That's the one thing that I would not skimp on or think we don't need it. Uplighting transforms any ballroom.
Mhm.
If that's the one thing you need,
Right.
I would
Yeah.
say that.
But I'll go even further with that because we've had couples, and I know a lot of you out there are looking at room decor and uplighting, and some venues will offer uplighting, and they'll tell me, "Oh, is it cheaper if we don't do the uplighting with you because it comes with the venue?" So once again, I would ask you, well, the venue's uplighting is just going to be set it and forget it. And it's going to
Yeah.
stay a static color the entire night. Our uplighting is going to transform your space
Yeah.
from set it and forget it into party vibes and atmosphere. They're going to do chases. They're going to change with the
Mhm.
with the music.
Yep.
They're going to pulsate with the music and do all this. I mean, it really is part of the show.
Definitely.
So if you're looking for party vibes and atmosphere, you absolutely want to use our uplighting and not use. So this
Well, it
is
just
where you
depends,
can.
though.
This
that's
is where you.
that's Cutmaster, right? If they
Yeah.
Right.
hire us, then somebody might have uplighting that's on go mode, and
Yep.
But-
I don't know what's better. I don't know what's better there.
Where you
Yeah.
can sometimes save money though is there because Hotel Albuquerque is an example. I'm pretty sure at least it used to be, don't quote me on this because they might have changed the model, but they've got lighting in the ceiling there that's pretty cool
Yeah.
and it changes colors, but that's actually extra
Mm-hmm.
to
I
add
believe
on.
that.
I've heard that.
And so people will ask me, well, that's extra. Should we get that? Well, are you going to be looking up at the ceiling the whole time? Most of the time, no.
Yeah.
Just use our uplighting around the
Of course,
space,
yeah.
which is
Yeah.
going to make your the entire four walls interactive, and that's like what people are going to see.
Definitely.
You know?
Definitely.
It's
What
a-
about like a Hyatt Tamaya? Because they provide uplighting, right? But they wouldn't be that's static lighting.
Right? It would just be
So-
static.
And I
Mhm.
think so. What I'm trying to get at is like, regardless of who you hire, and you're thinking, oh, I want decor. I don't know what kind of decor. All of that's super expensive. What should I at least bare minimum
Mhm.
have? Uplighting,
Yeah.
whatever that
Yeah.
looks like. Whether it's with Cutmaster, whether it's with a venue, uplight your venue because you will be thankful for that. I promise.
No, for sure.
Right. Cool. I think some other things, that where you could save money. This is something, and this is where we live in the TikTok and Instagram era, where everybody's throwing the craziest bachelor and bachelorette party, right?
Yeah.
So literally going on a trip to Hawaii, Cancun, to
Yeah.
wherever.
Yeah.
So yeah, that you could save money there.
So don't have a bachelor or bachelorette. is
I'm
what
just
you're
saying, not being over the top.
Oh.
And I'm just giving ideas,
Yeah.
the problem is like I just feel like we live in an era where everybody's trying to one up each other, right?
It's fair.
Oh,
So,
absolutely.
I
I
have
mean,
to have the
for-
wedding on Instagram that was in Hawaii and a beautiful
Yeah.
waterfall with my girls.
Yeah,
or
and
whatever.
I will agree with that. Like, I think if you're trying to find other areas to put your money into, maybe not going to Tulum, Mexico for your bachelorette will save you some money in that
Totally,
way.
yeah.
You know, like, and I agree with you. I see some crazy bachelorette parties, and I'm
Mhm.
like, why are we doing that?
Yeah.
You're basically pouring money into the toilet for just a weekend, you know? And I get it. Go have fun with your girls, but there's ways that you could do that without spending like a ton of money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think what we're going to do, or I know we're going to do it, we're very adamant on this, and it is a little bit of more of an extravagant trip, but we're inviting both bridesmaids and groomsmen to go to ACL in 2026.
Cool.
So we'll Airbnb a house, and we're still thinking about it. We're going to see how it does, but I would love the idea of like the guys having 1 day or 2 days and the girls having 2 days, and then we all meet up on the last day on Sunday, and then we all celebrate and go. I just think all of our bridesmaids and groomsmen are all together, and so we're all friends already.
For sure.
Why not use this as an excuse to do this mega thing that we'll probably never have an
And
opportunity
I was gonna
to
say
do again
too,
in our
you
lives.
guys do that usually anyway. Go to ACL.
We love ACL.
So-
we do all this.
So is
I
that
think it's-
really something that you're adding to? You guys are already gonna do that, you know?
No,
I
yes,
you
but
know,
we're making it bachelor.
exactly,
bachelorette, so that's
exactly.
where,
Yeah,
like, I think
and
it-
that's where I think like that I feel is okay
Mhm.
because
Oh, I see you. It's already an added expense.
it's already an added expense.
Or
you
not
know?
added, but it's already included in the budget because expectations are kind of
Yeah, and you guys already do that every year
yes,
anyway.
I hear what you're saying.
So adding, that bachelorette party,
Just kind
cool.
of theming out the
Just
weekend.
theming it out. Yeah, that's cool because you guys are already gonna head out
All
there.
right, I feel
Well,
better.
Yeah.
and
Feel
that
better.
that just kind of goes back to prioritizing.
Yep. Amen.
You
true.
prioritizing what is meaningful and valuable to you.
Yeah.
So my guess
That's
is
riff.
you would rather do that
Mm-hmm.
than go spend $10,000 on flowers,
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Like,
Or even like what I told Syndra. Syndra wants to do like a bachelorette party, but I was like, me, if we could do that, I just need a bro down at the house with the boys for me. I don't
Exactly.
need anything private or anything. Like if you still want to do yours, that's cool. But I want to make sure, we're not spending money there. But yeah, the flowers is a good one to cut costs too. I have a
Right.
good
Yeah,
one
for
that.
sure.
so, you just have to prioritize. Like
Prioritize.
what matters most to you, and then you got to allocate the budget that you have set towards those things.
Mhm.
Yep, for
you
sure.
know, and I don't know, just again getting back to like price gouging, just understand the vendors, just because they're charging whatever their prices are at doesn't mean they're gouging you. All right.
Yep.
It means that there's a market, there's a demand out there, or else they wouldn't be charging those prices.
Yeah, that's
sure.
true, right? Like
Yeah.
it wouldn't be working for us. We would have to bring our numbers down if we wanted to remain a healthy business. You know what I mean? If we couldn't do it at that rate.
Well, and then that would be like, so let's just say, let's take your example,
Yeah.
right? You want to do this trip to Austin city limits.
Yep.
So then you can't complain, right? That you can't afford the most expensive videographer or photographer,
Yeah.
right? Like
For
if
sure.
that was of more importance to you, then you would not do those sorts of things, right? It's
Mhm.
like you said, it's
Gotcha.
kind of like basic financials and economics, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
You have to do what makes sense within your budgets and
Mhm.
limits and what makes sense to you, right? Like, so that's where I think people get in trouble, is that they just bust out a credit card, and then before you know
For
it,
sure.
you end up after your wedding
Things catch
and you're
up.
like 60, 70, $80,000 in debt.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And you're paying that off for the next 20 years.
Yep.
That's
Yeah.
a house payment.
For sure.
Right, and that's where a lot of those things you have to think about too. Like all that money you're spending could go towards a house or some kind of
Exactly.
like
Yeah,
something
and I
that
think
holds
that's why
value.
we're starting to see couples get away from having a wedding in general.
Yeah.
I see on TikTok all the time, we ditched the luxury wedding with 10 million people that we invited and we just got married in wherever,
Mm-hmm.
just at the courthouse, and went and just did something on their own, And I think I'm starting to see that a lot. Like people are just getting away from like, we have to have this person there and that person there and it's this and it's that. It's like,
Yeah.
well, marriage is between you two
Yeah.
and just you two, and that's what I'm starting to see people kind of get into that mindset where it's like, well, let's just really have this moment for us.
Yeah.
Let's go do this for us. Let's,
I think you're seeing more of that, where our younger couples are feeling kind of more empowered, so to speak, where they're just
Yeah.
making their own decisions. And I think that's why a lot of couples feel like they get scammed, is because they have these realistic expectations that have been set forth by media and by, like
Yeah.
parents pushing for traditions
Yeah.
and things that cost a lot of extra money, right? Like,
Or like you have to have Uncle Joe here, so that's
Yeah.
you're adding guest count numbers. Or just,
Exactly.
and that was my issue.
Yeah.
Like, I go back to my wedding, it would, if my wife and I got married today, it would look so much different than back then, because there was so much pressure, especially from my side of the family. We've got to invite, I call them the family and funeral the wedding and funeral family.
Yes.
Yes.
Right? Like, that's the only time I see them. There's people that were at my wedding, and a fair amount that haven't seen since.
Wow.
That's 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
For
know?
sure.
So, I mean, it's that kind of pressure is going away, because our couples now are being like, you know
Yep.
what? We're paying for this. Our parents aren't paying for this. And we're going to do things how we want to do it. And I'm all for it.
For
you
sure.
know?
I am too. And you know what? Just the way the world is right now, we can't afford it.
Yeah.
We can barely afford eggs and gas and living our lives.
It's
So
getting
we can't
expensive.
afford to
It's
go have a luxury wedding. It just doesn't fit the mold right now.
hard.
Right.
See, that's interesting to see what that'll look like in 5 to 10 years.
That's what I'm
Sure.
interested to see too. I
'Cause
think
right
what is
now,
the impact of
Our ideal
of
client
now?
isn't even that person. So
Yeah,
right now, I'm not really concerned about that, but that person will be my ideal client in 5 years.
for sure.
So what does that mean? What does that
Right.
look like?
Exactly.
Where are their priorities?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think no matter if you've got it or you don't, we're going to start feeling things that we never have before.
Sure.
It kind of terrifying, and don't want to get into that a lot, but just I think being super budget friendly is going to be the trend for these next couple years, like you're saying, like just we're going to just be seeing it a lot.
I think, yeah, we're just going to have to figure out different ways to convey our value.
Exactly.
'Cause
For
I
sure.
feel like it's not too hard because we align with, like we said, the people who
Definitely.
prioritize DJ.
Definitely.
So when they're like there, it's not really that big of a hassle.
Yeah, and like even last year, I saw a lot of my couples cut the venue cost.
Mhm.
Their mom and dad had a awesome house, a cool backyard.
Nice.
We did it at mom and dad's, and we
Yeah.
crushed it, and we had so much fun, and it was way more personal.
Yeah.
It really was. Like I did 2 weddings like that, and it was just so beautiful how intimate it was and how comfortable everyone felt,
Mhm.
Right.
which was so
What was
special.
the guest count of those? Do you remember?
So one of them was they had a huge backyard. They even did like a huge tent.
Cool.
I think we were close to 200 on that one, because they had the space for it.
Right.
And then the other one that I did, I would say that one was like maybe 60,
Mhm.
maybe 50.
Yeah,
Like,
Love that.
but it was perfect, and the houses were so gorgeous. The very last wedding I did was at a house, and the parents had just a bunch of different sections for stuff.
Nice.
So they did their ceremony like under this really cute patio that they had that just had like flowers everywhere, and even at
Love it.
that, didn't have to spend on flowers. Dad had the most beautiful landscaping I have ever
Nice.
seen.
There you go.
And then they had like a tennis court area, which is actually where we did like the reception stuff at. And then they had like a pool area where we did cocktail hour.
Nice.
So saved a ton, right? Just in that.
Yeah, not
You know?
really getting caught up in like, oh, we have to have it at a hotel. but, like-
Exactly.
Like, looking at these different styles of venues and kind of opening up your mind to
For
a
sure.
different option.
And like for that couple, I know they prioritized it being very tight knit and being super just with their people.
Yes, that's
So-
why I asked the guest count because
Yeah.
we noticed the trend of like numbers are going down. People are
Yep.
putting more prioritization into the overall experience of the
For
guests.
sure.
Right.
So that's dope.
Yeah. Yeah. It was so cool.
Speaks to it. It's
Yeah.
I could see that continually going. Guest counts are going to go down.
We
And
just got an
yeah.
inquiry this week for another
Yep.
backyard
Yep.
wedding in Santa Fe.
And I love
Nice.
it.
Or house wedding, I should
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it just, not that, there's not pressure. It's still wedding day. There's pressure, but everyone just has a really relaxed vibe. It feels like you're kind of at like a backyard barbecue kind of vibe. Like it's just really
Nice.
chill.
Yeah.
Everyone's really chill. No
I
one's
haven't
super
done
high
a wedding
strung.
at a house in a long time.
If things happen, like, there was, situations with dresses, mom sewing it, fixing
Nice.
it. Like, it was just very,
I love that.
casual, so casual. And I loved everything about
Yeah.
it.
Last thing we did was that house party last summer, and that sucked. It was a beautiful party. We had a great time. Or 2 summers ago.
Oh yeah.
But the load in,
Look
load
at that.
out
Oh, yep.
was
Yes.
awful.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
all it was.
So
The
I will
party was
say-
awesome.
I will say, for the last one we did, the load in, load out was pretty terrible too.
Gosh.
But
Yeah,
It's
that's
okay,
the
though.
only thing about homes, right?
the only
They're
thing.
not
I always
equipped to
do
bring
site
in
visits,
Yeah.
but
subs.
typically, yeah, load in, load out is
For sure. Yeah, that was
be a
one of
little
the
tricky.
things that was terrible.
That's,
Yeah.
that's a small sacrifice for those really cool intimate moments, and I think it creates a unique experience in its own because it
Yeah.
does kind of.
Definitely.
It's not just at every other hotel ballroom.
And now I have experience with those. Like the first backyard one we did, we were having generator issues.
Mm.
And luckily we were having those issues before dinner started. So people were kind of just still down there at the bottom with the cocktail hour playlists and music we were playing down there,
Nice.
which was perfect. And it wasn't even anything like I wasn't overpowering it or anything. Dad just accidentally had it on the wrong setting.
Mm.
So it wasn't generating enough power for,
Sure.
What we
We
needed.
needed.
So like just little
Ah.
things like that, now I know in the future, like, hey, if
Yeah.
we're going to use any type of generators, they need to be set at this because, last time, we, whatever.
It's important to know
It's
power settings.
exactly.
And that's why you hire
Yeah.
a professional too, is we dive into the technical side of it and understand
sure.
we're not going to blow a wall out or just plug in all of our things and hope for the best. I think
Yeah,
that's something that speaks
definitely.
to our,
Right.
our
Yeah.
price point as well.
Yeah.
Cool. So I think kind of, wrapping this up here, some ways to avoid feeling like you're getting ripped off. Number one, set a budget that aligns with your values.
Yep.
All right. Then I think researching and asking your vendors the right questions.
Yes.
So you feel confident in your
You,
decision.
you have to have trust, obviously, and it really is an investment. As when you get up to the professional level, the higher quality, you are placing a lot of trust into someone that's
Mhm.
spent a lot of time to develop their craft and skill and be able to
definitely.
deal with this particular situation. You probably don't want to go hire a photographer that does documentary for the newspaper.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It's
sure.
it's so different than somebody
Shooting a wedding.
that's
days.
shooting a wedding
Yeah.
and knows how to do all of that, right?
I
Or
agree.
I was even seeing on the vendor, I think the vendor table, they were talking about the difference between documentary style photographers
Oh, yeah.
and then I forget what the other
Storytelling, maybe.
Ah,
I don't know.
I can't remember. There's different. There's
Yeah.
different styles, right?
Style. Yep.
Documentary style is completely different in that they're completely hands off. They're literally just an eye in the sky taking pictures
A
of
little more
everything.
candid versus
Right.
like stage.
Definitely.
Exactly. They're not gonna tell you to stand over here by this beautiful
Yep.
tree
Yeah.
with the amazing sunlight, right?
For sure.
They're just documenting the day. So you
Yeah.
have to figure out what things like that, right?
Definitely.
Research your vendors, ask the right questions,
Yeah.
and then you're not going to feel like at the end of the day, like, why do all my pictures look this way? Well,
Yeah.
this is what you hired.
Yeah.
Yep.
me for, right?
Exactly.
So
Yep.
true.
And then focusing on the experience. We talked about this over the aesthetics.
Yep.
Just making sure that you are putting your dollars toward the experience that you want
Yep.
and that you want your guests to have.
Exactly. Yep.
I think those are ways that you will come out of the wedding planning having a much better experience, right?
Feeling more-
Agreed.
yeah, just
Yep.
feeling
Agreed.
just more. I don't want to say confident again, but like just that you made the right decision, and,
For sure.
and that like all of this is not gonna dwell on you, and you're
Yep.
not gonna have regrets later because you did do your research, you did ask the right questions,
Exactly.
you did prioritize what you wanted. So at the end of it all, it's almost like, well, you did do all that, so you don't really have any kind of excuse, or you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
For sure.
I would be like, yes, you did all that. So, but,
Yeah.
but
mean-
if you do that, it's gonna only work out for you.
I'm just
Yep.
telling you, like from our perspective, if you show up to an event, all right, and you've never seen that DJ before or talked to him, how are you going to feel,
Yep.
right?
Uh,
And
Uneasy.
compared to someone that's walked with you through the process,
Yep.
you've hopped it, even if it's over Zoom, right? Because we get destination weddings all the time
Yeah.
For
where we
sure.
do Zoom calls face to face. That's why I like to see your face, build a relationship with you, get some
Definitely.
rapport, check in with you throughout the process. We have a final event review. We've gone through everything. You know that I know all the details,
Mhm.
and that things are going to be executed come Saturday, and you don't have anything to worry about, right? Like
For sure.
it's a completely different experience than showing up and, oh my God, that's not our first dance song.
Yep.
Like, what is he playing?
Yeah.
Or like that horror story we heard of, like, would they double check the first dance? Yep,
Yeah.
got the first dance, and then he just played a whole different song.
Played a whole different song,
Chris.
right?
Yep.
Like those things are real.
What's the difference?
Yeah. So, do you think the wedding industry is a scam? DM us or drop a comment here and let us know
Yeah.
what are your thoughts.
Yeah, we want to hear from you.
What do you think out there? And what's the most ridiculous wedding expense you've ever seen?
Yeah.
We want to hear it. Drop it
Yeah.
in the comments below. All right.
I saw a TikTok, and it was like these two couples, or a couple planning their wedding, and they were like, what was it? Do you think they'll the hotel let us bring in goose for the? It's like just these ridiculous things. I can't think of it now on
I
the.
saw that.
Yes.
Yes.
I can't think of it now on the fly, but it was hilarious because they were just saying just all these like, do you think they'll let us bring in like infant babies to bring in all of our flower girls? Or, I don't know. It was just
Yeah.
it was just ridiculous, and I'm trying to think of ridiculous things and I can't. So
That in and of itself is ridiculous, right?
it
there.
is, huh?
All right.
I don't know where it is.
I'm trying to picture what you're talking about, and
I'm glad you saw it. 'cause
I saw it. Yeah, so they were basically making like a joke, I would say, is how I took it,
Yes.
of like how ridiculous people get for their weddings.
Yes.
Right.
So they're like,
Thank
can
you.
we fly in this? Can we have infant babies do that? Can we?
got you.
And they just like,
How much do you think it's going to cost to have Avicii play for our cocktail hour?
yeah.
Or you know what I mean? Have
yes.
Pitbull do our ceremony or something.
Yeah, like just stupid stuff that like,
Crazy things, but of course, I like too many TikToks. It's in the depths of my likes.
Right, it's in the abyss.
Yeah.
So cool. All right, we'll do it again next week. Appreciate you all. Have a good week. Happy 311 day. See ya.
peace.
What's on the playlist?